Okay, hello everybody. It's Dare speaking. Yeah, we'll be getting started shortly, but once again, nice to see you all here today. Hopefully, I'm using the correct microphone, so sorry if I'm not. Okay, yeah, I think it's good. So yeah, we'll be starting in 2 minutes. Nice. Once again, nice to see you all here again. Yeah, hello. Your mic is muted if you're trying to speak earlier. Okay, anyways, hello. Nice to see you here again. Okay, a lot of people are joining and leaving. So since it's about to start, we'll wait one more minute. Because yeah, a lot of people are just joining in now. So we'll wait one more minute after for me 12. Okay, I believe my microphone is muted. Okay, we're gonna wait one more minute because once again, a lot of people are joining and leaving, but it's nice to see you all here again today. I actually will just wait like 30 more seconds. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I believe somebody's meeting everybody in the call, but I think that'll be solved in a minute. Okay, so we're going to be getting started now. Hopefully my screen is shared. Okay, I'll turn on my camera too. So yeah, hopefully everybody can see my screen, hear me, and see my face. So yeah, my name's Adere again, and welcome back to day 2 of learning HTML. So we're actually going to get started. So last class we discussed what HTML is. Okay, good. Last class we discussed what HTML is. We discussed how we write HTML, and we learned some terms we should know before we actually start getting into writing HTML. And yeah, so this class we're more going to get into doing the actual coding. Also, I guess I can also say some rules for Google Meet since this is only our second class. So yeah, I'd like it if you guys kept your mic muted at most of the times. You can communicate to me through chat. I'm always looking at chat. If you have any questions, you can ask them at chat. If you have anything to say that for some reason can't be said in chat, feel free to ask them to me. You can unmute your mic and ask them if it's something that cannot be asked through chat. Okay, so we'll get started. So the first thing we're going to talk about is an HTML doc type declaration. So we're going actually straight into it, so if this might be a little bit confusing. So the first thing to say is that an HTML doc type declaration is not a tag. A HTML doc type declaration is essentially just a statement that tells your web browser what version of HTML is being used on the page, like what page. A doc type declaration always goes at the top of your code, even before the opening HTML tag. And if we remember something about the HTML tag, we remember that it's basically the tag that holds all our HTML code. So all our HTML code is held in between the opening and closing HTML tag. Yeah, so some web browsers require a doc type declaration in order to display the web page content correctly. So yeah, this is the doc type declaration for the version of HTML we're using. So it starts off with an exclamation point, has Doctype all capitals and it has HTML. So once again, you should not confuse this with a tag. This only has basically an opening tag, no closing tag, so it's not really a tag at all. So yeah, this is the Doctype declaration. So yeah, the newest version of HTML is HTML5. So if you hear somebody say something like HTML4, you can kind of say that doesn't apply to you because we're learning HTML5. And this is the newest version of HTML in general. Also, once again, if you have any questions about anything we just covered, feel free to type them in chat. Okay, so web browsers, as we talked about, a Doctype declaration makes it so your web browser displays the content correctly. So a web browser is a software application used for accessing information on the internet. So I have some logos over here. Yes, some of you said you've seen them. So I have Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Safari. These are just more popular web browsers. There are a lot more than these. So if you guys could you please type in what does an application mean? An application, you've probably heard of app. That's pretty much what app is short for, an application. So it's pretty much a program that runs on your device. And yeah, an app could be maybe a video game. If you play video games, you have an app on your phone, maybe that for a video game. Let me give more examples. YouTube, you probably have YouTube on your phone or tablet or yeah, that's an application. So yeah, it's just apps. I just pretty much did the short form, but I think you're more familiar with apps. Hopefully that answers your question. I'll keep looking. So a web browser is I already said that. Okay, so these are examples, Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and Safari. If you guys could you please type in to me what web browser you're using currently to watch or to join this meeting? So I'd like you guys to type in what web browser you're using. If you don't know, I can help you figure out so we can kind of make sure we know. Okay, Microsoft Edge, Chrome. Okay, yeah. Currently, I'm also using Chrome, Gmail. Okay, so Gmail is actually an entire website. So that wouldn't be your web browser. I'm sharing my entire screen, so I think this would actually work. So what I'm going to do currently for you, I'm just going to get out of this quickly. How can I show this best? I'm just going to open, or I guess I'd have to share my other screen. So Gmail's is used for email. It's a website. So your web browser would be kind of what you first open up when you maybe turn on your computer. Okay, good, Chrome. There, you fixed it. Okay, yeah. And yeah, so if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask any questions and we'll continue moving on. So I've noticed some more people have started joining again. If you're just coming, this is being recorded for you guys to go and view. Only I'm being recorded, the video. But yeah, you guys can view this later if you're just joining, so no problem. Okay, so last class, once again, we talked about writing HTML, but we specifically talked about how we write HTML being in a text editor, if we remember. But now we're actually going to be talking about writing code in general. So I noticed that some of you guys were on your tablets or you were watching this on your mobile device last class. But ideally, you should actually be writing your code through a computer. So technically, your phone is a computer, but I mean more of a formal computer, I guess I could say. So like a laptop with a keyboard or like a hard keyboard or like a desktop with a mechanical keyboard or stuff like that. So yeah, the reason you should be doing this is because you can multitask a lot better on bigger screens, of course. And these type of computers are just more powerful usually than your phone or tablet. And yeah, it just gives you a cleaner workspace and lets you write code faster and more efficiently. So I highly recommend that you do write your code through a laptop or desktop. Especially throughout this course. Right now, you may be able to pass with using a mobile device. But getting later into the class, it's going to be really difficult because we're going to be using real text editors. And yeah. Hi, how can I get into the last recording, please? If you're talking about the last recording for the last class, I believe that's on the YouTube channel. Yeah, okay. The moderators are going to post the link for it for you, but we're just going to continue on. Once again, if you have any questions, I'm looking at chat. I am on laptop. Okay, yep, that's great. Okay, so revisiting tags. So we're going to be talking about some more HTML tags today. Last class, remember, we only really discussed the H1 tag, the P tag, the HTML tag, and then just the fundamental tags that you need to actually get started. So yeah, here are some more HTML elements or tags to get familiar with. So we're going to be discussing the UL tag, which is for an unordered list. We're going to be discussing the LI tag, which is your list, so the items on your list. We're going to be talking about the B tag, that's meant for bolding text. We're going to be talking about the BR tag, which creates line breaks as well. So yeah, so first we're going to start off with the UL and LI tags. So the UL tag defines an unordered bulleted list in HTML. So were we all familiar with ordered lists? Because that's something we need to know as well. So usually you see an ordered list when you're making steps for something, when something has steps. So you have to do it in a specific order. So maybe brushing your teeth. The first step is grabbing your toothbrush. The second step is rinsing it. And hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. So I'm just going to type in chat like an example of what an ordered list looks like. So that's 1, 2, 3. So you might have seen something like that before. That's what an ordered list looks like. So an unordered bolded list pretty much says that everything in the list, it doesn't matter what order you see it in first. So pumpkin is not the most important on this list, and neither is pepper. So yeah, the UL tag defines an unordered bulleted list in HTML. The LI tag defines the specific items within the list in HTML, and both these elements have opening and closing tags. So for the UL tag, we have it opening and closing once, and then for the LI tag, we have it opening and closing as many times as many items we have on the list. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So we can correlate what we see here with what's in this image here. This is a real life image of a list. Of course, we don't have the title, but we're talking about the main list here. So of course, we have the UL tag to define it's unordered, and then we have the specific item. So just LI tag opening, closing LI tag, opening, closing LI tag, opening, closing LI tag, and then. Okay, sorry, did I miss it in chat? Okay, I guess that's all right. Yeah, what's your question? Yeah, you can use them to create this exact same list. Of course, this is a real life image, but you'll get the same, pretty much the same output. You will get the output of just like these bullet lines with pumpkin, onion, garlic. Yep. Hopefully, did that answer your question? UL is the start. Okay, yeah. So hopefully, I guess this is actually our second class, so I should have made this more clear. So if we remember, hopefully opening and closing tags. So if we look here carefully, we see that the UL tag opens, and then all the way down here, it closes again, because everything usually opens and closes in HTML. There are only few exceptions. So the individual items, they open and close as well. So LI opens and it closes. We can tell with that /. But then the thing is, in between the opening and closing now for the LI, we have whatever we want to be in our list. So we have, I could change pumpkin to anything and it would change. So we're actually going to test this out in Code Playground, but we're just going to discuss 1 or 2 more tags before we do. So let's move on. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in chat. So what does UL mean? Okay, somebody already answered it for me, but yeah, an unordered list. Typically it appears as a bulleted list, but it could also just appear as these line marks. I sound a little bit robotic. Okay. I'll see what I can do. Okay, so next we're discussing the B and BR tags. So the B tag defines a bolded style in HTML. So if we've ever done styling, maybe in art class, you're asked to bold something. So pretty much you can compare this to when you say somebody is bold themselves. So they kind of like stand out more, I guess you could say. So yeah, pretty much what bolding does is it's a style that makes something stand out. So actually, if we're talking about outside of this whole like fake text editor thing we're looking at here, we have my title of the actual presentation, and this is more bolded, so it stands out more. So basically, that's what the bolded tag does with your own text. So yeah, the B tag defines a bolded style in HTML. The BR tag defines a line break in HTML. The BR tag does not need a closing tag. So it's actually one of the first things we saw that have an exception of not needing a closing tag. So it's only the opening tag, and it functions like that on its own. Okay, so we're going to look at this example we have here. So in this first box, we have the HTML code, and then down here we have the output. So we have the opening p tags because we're doing this with text. I do not understand. Sound clear and perfect. Sorry, I do not understand. Okay, let me see if I can explain this better. Okay, so the B tag, forget about what I said earlier. This is going to just be a fresh new start, so forget about everything I said earlier. So the B tag defines a bolded style in HTML. If you're not familiar with what a bolded style is, it's a style we can tell from the word at the end, but then it's pretty much just something that stands out more. So usually it has deeper colors, and maybe it's even just larger text in general. So yeah, so we're gonna look at this first. So we have our P tag opening and closing. We can skip this BR and we can go down to the third line. Here we have the B tag opening and closing, and then we have our text in between here. We're actually going to be going into the actual code playground, so I guess it's not a problem if you don't understand now. But yeah, so the BR tag defines a line break in HTML. So B and BR are two completely different tags. They both have a use to maybe separate text and they're used for the same thing, but they are two different tags. So the BR tag defines a line break in HTML. So actually, you guys might have done it here. So if you guys look at chat and you look at Sharif's example of using the BR or B tag, in between that space, he actually has a line break, you could say, because it's a break of line and there's nothing there. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So it pretty much just creates a new line. Another example, if you've written in a text document, yes. It's used for basically just ending the line and creating another line. So it's a line, it breaks the line basically. It starts a new line. Does that make sense? So, okay, we can actually look down here. So originally this text over here was all on the same line. So if you look to see where I placed the BR tag, you can kind of see that after this is your text in the P tag, after the first sentence, I have the BR tag appear. And what that does is that it creates a new line for the text again. So do you see that? Let me turn on the laser pointer seconds. So hopefully you see that. So yeah, it's pretty much just breaking into different lines. So if you have something that you don't want, okay, that's great. Okay, I guess I'll just not finish my thing. So yeah, I'll just keep looking for questions. So yeah, BR is basically line break. Yep. The P tag is for paragraph. Yeah, that's also correct. And yeah, so this seems a little bit confusing. It's completely all right if it's confusing because it's hard to just understand things through just hearing somebody's voice. So we need visuals. So we're going to go into SoloLearn's Code Playground. Hopefully you can still see my screen. That's what we used previously. So we're just going to go to sololearn.com. I can follow along if you'd like. It might be a little bit hard. But yeah, so we're going to go back to Code Playground. We used this last class briefly, and we're going to test out what we've just learned. So we learned the UL, the LI, the B, and the BR tags. Can two tags stay on the same line? Yes, two tags can stay on the same line, and I can test that out for you. Sorry, I think I might need water. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in. Let me also do a full screen. Okay, so hopefully we have the text editor open. I've just zoomed in for us so we don't have to see the output, and you guys can actually read what I'm writing. This is what SoloLearn's Code Playground looks like by default when you load up for HTML. And yeah, so we know in between our body tag is the content. So we're going to start off. So we're going to use, first we'll talk about the UL tag since that's what we use first. So we want to have a list that's unordered, and I want to create a grocery list so we can buy stuff at the store. So this is going to be something extra. I'm going to use the H1 tag, if you remember, is for a heading. Thank you. I've just gotten water delivered for me. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, thank you. So we're going to use the H1 tag, which is for heading. So yeah, it's heading 1. And in between there, we're going to put our title. So I know this is grocery list. I'm just going to keep it simple. And I'll say grocery list. So that's our heading 1. We can actually check the output for this. I'm just going to zoom out so we can see it quickly. I'll press 1. So we can see grocery list popped up. So we learned this last class. So now we're actually going to create an actual list that we can use. So I'm going to add UL. Once again, you guys can follow along if you would like. So it's going to be an unordered list because we're not buying anything in a specific order and nothing's more important than the other. And we're going to start creating items on our list. So somebody tell me what tag I use for the list items. I don't remember specifically. Could somebody tell me that in the chat? I'll just copy and paste it. I actually need the opening. Okay, thank you. LI, yep, that is correct. So the LI for the specific individual items on the list. So the first item on the list, what should we get from the grocery store, guys? You guys can give me an item and I'll put it in the list. Food related. Apples, eggs, potatoes, milk. Okay, I can do those ones. I'll just add those ones quickly. Soda, okay. I'll try adding all of those as quick as possible. So let me just copy and paste this first. So LI, and I'm just going to copy and paste this multiple times. Well, actually, I think I'll leave this empty for now. Okay, so what I'm doing is just to save my time from writing all of this out, I'm just going to go like this. Okay, so last one I just saw was plantain, Oreos, capitalize everything, Eba, soda. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to get all of these. It's going to take me a little bit of time. I'm going to try doing this fast as possible. I need to copy and paste more of these because once again, these are to define the items on our list, and we have multiple items on our list. Okay, so soda, milk, potatoes. This is going extreme. But of course, we can have any items or any amount of items we want. So potatoes. Copy and paste this 2 more times, I think. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them while I'm doing this. Eggs, apples. I think that was the first one. Okay, yep, we're good. Okay, so we've created our grocery list of things we want to buy at the store. You guys told me these things. And yeah, so we're going to test it out and see if we can get the output we want. So I believe I did everything correct. And yeah, so now we have a bulleted list in our grocery list. So it is just capitalized because I already laid that here. I can just correct that quickly. Okay, so yeah, the title, once again, is outside of the list, you could essentially say, but we've used it currently just to make it look like it's the title for the list. And then I have all the things you guys asked for at the grocery store. Oh, I didn't include yam. I'll do that quickly. So yeah, once again, you guys can try this out for yourselves. So yeah, using the UL and the LI tag isn't too hard. So we have yam. Okay. So next we're going to discuss the B and BR tag. So let's zoom in again and we're going to get back to writing. After which, we're going to take a quick 5-minute break since we have learned a lot of things. Could you send the link? If you're referring to just Code Playground, sure, I'll put the link there. Let me get out of full screen. That's linked to Code Playground. You can write all the code you want there. And yeah, so let's zoom in and let's move on to the B and BR tag. So we've actually learned a lot of stuff now. So I know this is probably it's probably a lot. So we're just going to take a break after we do this quickly. So I'm gonna go full screen again, zoom in. And yeah, so I'm just gonna remove this whole grocery list we made. It was a great grocery list. And now we're going to use the B and BR tags. So the best way we can use them, or the simplest way we can use them, is with text. So what do we use to create a paragraph? Because I want to write out a paragraph. So can you guys tell me what tag we use for paragraphs in HTML? Or what element? P. Okay, thank you, Iomida. I got that. So, okay, yep, everybody's putting in the right thing. P. So P is short for paragraph. I got me based on the wrong thing. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we have the P tag. Now we're going to put text here. So actually, to make this more simpler, something else I should show is that we can actually use the P tag, or we can use tags in multiple ways. So the way I've been showing it is that tags take up multiple lines, but you can actually fit one tag, opening, closing, on just one line. So what we can do is that we can write any code we want in between here. So hello, run this. So run. You see the output here, hello. So this is the output on what it would look like on a web browser. So yeah, that's something I didn't show you guys that you can do. So pretty much the only important about the layout is that it has the opening and closing and it's in between. So you could say this is in between the P tag, right? You could also say that this is in between the P tag. You could say that this is in between tag. It's just all in between the P tag. So the reason I put it on multiple lines is just to basically make it more clear of where the opening and closing tags are. So just for sake of this example, just so we can be familiar with both, I'm going to use the P tag on one line. So I'm going to write, this is some example text, period. Of course, I'm going to need the closing, so /P again. And yes, we have, this is some example text here. So we're going to run this now. And we have, this is some example text. Hopefully we can see the output. Okay, guys, so I have a question for you guys. Hopefully you guys can help me because I heard you learned about this recently. So I actually want text to stand out more than the rest of these. Like when somebody reads this, I want them to see text first. So you guys know what I could do to fix that? Like what could I use to make it stand out more? Maybe bold it. Okay, the BTAC. Okay, so I'm going to do, okay, thank you. Yep, the BTAC. I think that will, I don't know if it's work. We'll test it out actually. So the BTAC. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that the BTAG, it's more of a unique tag because we use it specifically with any other tag. So what I'm going to do now, was about to type it. Okay, yep, thanks for help, BTAG. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place it in between where I want to be bolded. So I have my writing over here, so I'm going to be writing over here. So I'm going to put the opening curly bracket B, because that's the B tag, and it already created a closing for me, so I'm actually going to remove that. I'm going to put the closing B tag for when I'm done bowling. So it's basically like bold this from start to end. So so this might look a little bit confusing. I decided not to bold the period. I could if I wanted to, but yeah, I want to bold text. So I'll just space this out so it looks more clear. So you have some, this is some example, and then bolded is going to be text, and we just have a period following after. So let's test this out. So we're going to run this. Make sure you press that run button at the bottom. And yeah, so now we have text bolded. So yeah, hopefully we can see that. I'll just zoom in more so we can see it better. And so this is basically what bolded text does. So it's thicker and it's deeper colors. So if you guys have anything you'd like me to try, I can try it. Once again, you can do it with any text, of course. And yeah, so that is the B tag. So one last tag we're going to use is the BR tag. So what I'm going to do, just to keep it simple, we're not going to use the B tag at the same time. And now we are going to copy and paste this a couple times just so we can create more of a longer paragraph. And yeah, I guess that's good enough. I'm going to run this so we can see if it's long enough for our output. I accidentally tried saving this. We're going to run this. Remember, you have to press the run button down here. It's green, and that will show you the updated output. Okay, so we just have a longer p tag now. It's somewhat longer, and hopefully, yeah. So now we want line breaks. So I want this as an example, and this I want two sentences to only be on the same line. So can somebody tell me what tag I used to do that? I want to like create a new line, so it starts on a new line again. So pretty much end that line, cut it off, so like break the line. So what tag would I use to do that? Okay, thank you. Yep, I've also seen chat people put it in the BR tag. Okay, so thank you for that, and we're going to try using it. So if we remember now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. It does not have a closing tag. So yeah, we're going to try using it. BR. So that's actually all we need. We don't need a forward slash. You could put one if you would like, but that's pretty much all we need for the BR tag. So just BR, and yeah, so I put it after two sentences. I just wanted it like that. You can do it anytime you want. You can put it after one word. So yeah, I'll just actually put it after one word here just as an example. We're going to run our work. This is some example. So right now it looks pretty broken, but I've only done it for two of these. Hopefully you can see the output. So I broke the line after this, and then it let it continue on the next line, and then I broke the line after the second sentence again, and then the rest I just didn't touch. Okay, so I'm looking at chat. Somebody share if you put their code there. This is my code. Page set on my list. I'll say this one shopping cart. This is a shopping list. Okay, great. I can imagine the output of that would be. I can actually try running it, I believe. I'll try running it. I'm not sure how it's going to copy and paste, but let's try. You make sure I have everything removed. I'll go like that. Let's go like that. Okay, we're just going to see the outfit. Hopefully you're already seeing the outfit. Okay, that's pretty cool. Use the BTAC. Okay, yeah, that's really cool. The list, the VTAC. Okay, that's great to see you understand it. Hopefully you're not upset that I used your code there, Sharif, but it's great. And you bolded. Okay, nice. That's awesome. So yeah, you tested out everything. We're going to clear this again. We're going to leave it empty. And yeah, so wait, did we just discuss the BTAC? Are we good? Does everybody have any questions about any of the tags we discussed so far? We're going to cover that up quickly, and then we're going to take a roughly 5 to 6 minute break. Okay, so yeah, we just learned a lot. You guys are free for like 5 to 6 minutes, and then we'll get back to learning, because after this break, we have a lot more to discuss. We're going to discuss something harder than what we discussed so far. So yeah, I'm going to get another drink of water, and I'll see you guys in 5 to 6 minutes. I'm just going to mute my mic. Yeah, I might join back, or I might come back to the mic so you guys can ask questions in chat. Oh, I'm staying in the call, but yeah, so just 5 or 6 minutes. You can process everything we learned. I might come back to my computer, just start writing things so we can see the output. And yeah, so yeah, good job so far, everybody. Thank you for the participation and coming. And I'll be back in 5 minutes. Yes, Addy? Okay, I'm just on the microphone still, but yeah, I'm just here if you guys have any questions. So I'll be looking at chat a little bit. Okay, just roughly 1 to 2 minutes until we get started again. So yeah, you guys can stretch, maybe get up from your chairs, walk, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Okay, I guess we'll get started. Hopefully everybody's here. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll get started. My mic was muted. I was actually trying to speak earlier. But yeah, hopefully everybody's back. Hopefully you had a good break. You processed everything we just learned. And yeah, we're just going to continue off where we left, basically. Okay, so my screen's still being shared. I'll turn on my camera too. So yeah, let's continue. So we just discussed the B tag, the LI tag, the UL tag, and as well as the BR tag. So yeah, technically today we've already learned a lot of cool stuff. So we've already learned a lot of stuff just for this short amount of time. So we could call it a day, but we're actually going to continue learning and getting even smarter. So let's get out of full screen here and we'll go back to the presentation. Okay, so the next thing we're discussing, we're actually not done with tags yet. The next thing we're discussing is the comment tag. Okay, so the comment tag is used in HTML to communicate to yourself, basically, the developer. Or if you're working on a HTML web page with multiple people, it could be used to contact them as well, or just leave tiny notes for them. So yeah, it can be used, it's a comment, so it can be used for pretty much anything you would like it to be used for. Typically, you see it used for reminders, stating the purpose of things in your code and possible ideas, so things you might want to change. Yeah, so this does not display in your web browser, and this is purely just for yourself if you're looking at that actual HTML code and you just want to say, hey, I'm going to change this later. Don't forget to change this. That's basically what the comment tag does. So we'll actually just showcase this quickly. The format is actually new to us. It's the angle brackets. Then we have an exclamation point. We have two hyphens. We actually call these two things hyphens. Then we have our comment. Then we have two hyphens again, and then we have the other angle bracket. So could actually typing hyphens in the chat. Hopefully I'm getting the actual term right. I believe it is hyphens. So I'll type one right now, and hopefully you can see that. It's up by your plus and subtract or addition and subtraction symbol on your keyboard. So hopefully you can see that that's what a hyphen looks like. I believe. Let me make sure. Okay, yeah, we're good. So yeah, it does not display on your webpage. Since this is just a quick tag, just something we should know, we can use that for ourselves. Okay, yep, nice typed in the hyphen. So I'm just going to zoom out of this quickly. Oh, I actually went a couple slides forward. I'll just go back here. And yeah, so we're just going to go back into Code Playground and test it out quickly. So once again, it doesn't display in the web browser, so we can just use it quickly. Let me zoom in here, and we'll go that exclamation point, 2 hyphens, and then as you can see, it's actually graded out. So in this text editor, that basically shows you that it's a comment. So since we didn't close it off with the other 2 hyphen and then the angle bracket, everything looks grayed out. So it's pretty much being taken as a comment. So what I could do is that I could say, this is an example of maybe a way you could use a comment tag. I would say change eggs to beans later. Okay, so I basically made a comment to myself. And so if I was another developer and I saw this, I'd say, okay, I need to change eggs to beans. Yeah, eggs is still there. Change that to beans. So yeah, it's pretty much an example of the comment tag. So we can actually test this out as well. And once again, we can see that this displays nowhere in the HTML document. It doesn't display anywhere for the viewer to see. So they don't know what you're commenting at all. So yeah, that's just for yourself to leave tiny notes and reminders and stuff like that. So yeah, we're just going to talk about that quickly. Let's go back here and we'll go present again. So yeah, it was just something quick we can discuss, and then we're moving on to the stuff I was mentioning earlier. That's going to be a little bit more complicated, but I bet we can get through it. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the image tag. So a web page is pretty boring without pictures or images to look at, without visual aids to be more specific. So we have an image tag to do this. So the image tag actually introduces something new called the source attribute, or an attribute in general. The source attribute, or sorry, I'm saying source, SRC attribute is basically short for source, and it's basically where you put the URL of the image so it would appear on the web browser. So I've just introduced a lot of new things, so it's already if you have a confused look on your face right now because I planned for that. So yeah, something else to just note quickly, once again, we're learning a lot right now, is that you might have seen this icon when an image didn't load in. We'll be talking about how to actually fix that in later slides. So let's just cover this slide one more time. We're about to actually get into actually explaining everything. But yeah, so the image tag, it has an opening tag only as well. It introduces something new called an attribute. So we have an attribute within the element itself. And then in this case, the attribute we're using is the source attribute. And then we have to set the source attribute equal to a value. Yeah, because an attribute has a value. And then the value of that source attribute, in this case, is going to be the URL of the location of the image. So yeah, let's talk about URLs first. So URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So the easiest way to describe a URL is as an address for where something lives on the World Wide Web, the internet, basically. A great analogy for a URL is your own home address, because giving someone your own home address allows them to locate and visit you the same way a URL allows you to visit a web page or image. So earlier we were actually posting URLs to SolarLearn's Code Playground. I believe Sharif put a URL to SolarLearn's Code Playground for another learner who wanted to access it. So that was a URL. We probably used URLs a lot. And yeah, that's a URL right there. And it takes you to a web page. So pretty much your own home address. It's like the same thing once again, because you can use it to visit someone. If you give somebody the URL, of course, it's a little bit different of a process because you have to drive there instead of just clicking to go there. But yeah, that's what a URL is, and it takes you to another place, and you use it to allow somebody to locate or visit another place, typically a web page or an image. So going back to this slide, so the source attribute is the URL for with the source attribute, you put where the URL for the image is. So you pretty much put where the image comes from or the location of the image. And then with that location of the image, you can get the image to appear. So if you have any questions, I'm telling you, feel free to ask them through chat, because this is very complicated stuff we're learning now just in one day too. So yeah, please feel free to put any questions in chat and I'll be answering them. This is for the attribute specifically. This is when you're using an attribute. So these double quotations, that's what we usually call them, I believe. So these double quotations come with the attribute, and that's pretty much like the bordering for the value of the attribute. So whatever the value is, it goes in between these double quotations. It's almost like you're quoting somebody, but you're not. So we're actually going to be testing this out ourselves, but we're just going to continue. So once again, we just learned about two different things. We learned about URLs and we learned somewhat about attributes. So we actually still have to learn about attributes. So we're just going to skip this URL tag or slide since we know about it. So yeah, hopefully we're all familiar with URLs. If you guys can want, maybe you can copy and paste the URL to this meet call in the chat for me. Maybe you guys can try doing that. And yeah, I'll just keep an eye on chat while we go on. YouTube.com. Yeah, I guess you could say that's the exact website domain. Okay, yep, that's the URL to the Google Meets. And then when you press on that, it'll visit or it'll take you to the Meet. So yeah, those are domains and URLs. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So attributes. So we just briefly discussed attributes and how they're used with HTML tags. We actually need to learn attributes. So attributes in HTML are very similar to the ones in real life, actually, or just in general. So an attribute defines an additional characteristic or properties of an element in HTML specifically. In real life, it also defines additional characteristics, but of course, it's not just set for a property or an element. It's set to anything. So just like elements, humans also have attributes. So we have our own attributes. And yeah, so a good example of one of the attributes we have is our eye color. So we all have maybe different shades of the same eye color or just different eye colors as a whole. And yeah, so here's just some examples of different eye colors. So yeah, those are an attribute we have. Hopefully I explained that well. And yeah, I'll give you another example. So another attribute we have is our hair type, maybe. So maybe we have different types of curly hair, straight hair, longer hair, shorter hair, even the color of our hair. And yeah, those are just attributes. Yeah, an attribute could also be maybe a specific skill you have. That a skill could be one of your attributes. Yeah, cooking, if you're great at cooking. Yeah, stuff like that are just attributes in general. So just to test our understanding, because I'm not sure if I explained that well, could we all try giving an example of an attribute for something? So it could be anything. It could be a car, a human, maybe a bird, stuff like that. Just any examples of attributes. So actually for a bird, I thought of one. Maybe the wingspan. That could be an attribute of a bird since they might have different wingspans. A flower, an attribute for a flower. So an easy one for a flower could just be its color. So the color of the flower would be an attribute. Maybe also its height of how tall it grows. And yeah, so those are just some examples of attributes. Speed of a bird. Yeah, I guess you could say that could be an attribute. Yeah, speed. Yep, that could be an attribute, definitely. And yeah, those are just a couple examples of attributes. Hopefully we got that well, but it will make sense with the next thing we're going to do. So we're actually going to test our understanding height of a person. Yep. Okay. So we're actually going to test our understanding of an attribute. So I have a little bit of, I wouldn't say a quiz, but just a quick question for you guys to answer. And this will pretty much test our understanding. So I'll read it out. Hopefully you can also see it on screen. So you're planning to buy a painting and to put it up in your bathroom. What's some things you need to know about the painting before you buy it? So you are planning to buy a painting and you want to put it up in your bathroom. What's some things you need to know about the painting before you buy it? You need to know its height, its width, the price. Okay, actually, all of those are great examples of attributes. Yeah, I didn't include all of the examples, but yeah, it's the color. That could be, yeah, warm color. Maybe you only want warm or cooler colors in your house. Yeah, the image. Yeah, if it isn't so expensive. Okay, yeah. Sure, those are all good examples. The two I included just for the sake of relating this back to HTML are its height. So for the image tag, we have the height attribute. We can see it being used here. So it's the attribute name, followed by the equal signs to show that it's equivalent to a value. And then we have our quotations, and then in between there is our value. So in this case, I just put number, and actually there would be an actual number. So here's an example of what it would look like. PX is a unit for pixels. So I set the image height to pixels. So we made an attribute called height, or we didn't make an attribute, we used an attribute called height, and we set it to 300 pixels. So hopefully that makes sense. Something else is its width, that somebody else typed in the chat as well. So yeah, 300 is just the number. We'll test that out in Code Playground in a second. It's a lot. It's pretty much what you see on pixels are like the tiny things on your screens. You can't see them, but I'm pretty sure that's what they make up the entire like display and everything you see on your screen. So yeah, so px you can compare it to something like centimeters. We've heard of cm, just that like short form, and yeah. How large is 300? Okay, yeah, we'll test that. We'll test that in a second. Okay, so yeah, another thing we can know is its width. Hopefully we know width and height right here. And yeah, that's just like the width and height of like a 2D shape, I guess you could say, or width and length, sorry. And yeah, so it's width. Basically works the same way as the height attribute. You just put a number with a measuring, so 300 px. You could also put something like a different unit, like 300 cm. If we know cm, that's centimeters. And yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. So those are attributes of a picture. The height and the width. You pretty much put this all in one tag, but we'll be actually writing these ourselves. So we can kind of, I'll just show you guys in a second. Hopefully that works. But we put the attribute immediately with the opening tag as well for the element. So it comes right after the element. But we'll actually be testing it ourselves as well. So yeah, it's width, length. Here's what the even better image tag looks like. I don't believe you guys can actually see that. That was my mistake for using a white background and yellow text. So what this does, this says alt over here, and then it has quotations with words saying a picture of the moon. So sometimes your image might not load in if you don't have the correct URL to the image, or you have a URL that doesn't even exist. So that's like getting the address wrong and sending somebody a random location that might not even be considered name of a place. So what the alt attribute does is that if it doesn't load in, if you have the wrong location to the image and it just doesn't load in, it will show text under this type of icon, like a broken image icon, and then it'll show text so the viewer at least knows what they were supposed to see. So hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to keep moving on if there are no questions. So here's actually an example of a blog I made. Sherry, if you already got started, that's cool. So yeah, here's just an example. I'll put this link in chat for you guys to view. This is the code behind it. And yeah, we're just going to actually test out what we've learned now. So this blog, it'll have to do with the extra activities. That's why I'm actually showing you guys this. And yeah, I'll put the link in chat if you would like to check it out because I've made it shareable. So we actually have 2 more things to do. We're going to try using the image tag, and then we have to share something else to learn, and then you can just look at Google Classroom. Okay, so that's the link to the block. If you press on it, it'll take you to this. You can also view the code. And yes, let's move on to using the image tag now. Once again, this is all new to us, so it's completely all right if you have trouble understanding any of this, and feel free to ask any questions. Okay. So let's see what we're going to do now. Okay, so we're going to use the image tag. So it only has an opening, so img, and we can close that. Okay, so now we need to put the location of the image. How can we put the location of the image? Does anybody know what attribute we use to do that with the image tag? Source. Okay. Thank you, Yomide, for that. So yeah, we use this src attribute and we basically pronounce that as source because it is the source of where the image is from. So we put quotations, and now we actually need to grab an image. So let me make sure all of this is cleared. And yeah, okay, so now we need to grab an image. So here's how I would typically go about getting an image. I would use Google Images. So Google Images. I just typed that in. I didn't have to. So yeah, I'd grab a picture of an image. I want to have waffle. I found an image. Okay, great. So I just want to have a waffle on my web page. So I get an image. You can actually create your own images and download them and get the location for that. But we're just going to be using it on the web. So I have a picture of waffle that looks tasty. I'm going to copy the image address. So we can actually relate address to like home address. So we're going to copy that image address. We're going to go back here. Now we're going to place that in between source. So right now, I'm literally just testing this out for the first time. So we're not using it for the first time. We're testing out this URL for the first time, since I do know it is an address. So something we can actually see is that now, in between the quotations, we have the URL. So I believe somebody was about to ask a question. Yeah, sorry, I didn't say that. For me, actually, no, I'm just going to say the normal way. Right-click on the image, and then the option should appear for copy image address. There are multiple things you can do with it. You can actually open the link to where the image is, but copy, pardon, what are the options? You don't see the option of copy image address? Let me think. What web browser are you using? Okay, try copy image link. That should be all right. Okay, so yeah, I copied the image address, so I copied the URL. We're going to take that back to the code playground. I've already copied and pasted it in. So you can see that's just a URL. Of course, we're not meant to read this. We're meant to go use it to visit. So now we have the location of the image, and we know where it wants to be pulled up. So we're actually just going to test this out and run this quickly. Okay, so the image is broken. So I have a broken URL in this case. So what I'm going to do now, this was actually not planned for it to be broken. I'll test out a different image. I believe that just has something to do with the specific image I pulled up. I got unlucky. But what we can actually do now, actually let me zoom in so we can see this better. Okay, so we got that broken image logo, meaning our image address or the location of our image, or sorry, the address of the image, the URL that we got is broken. It's a broken image. So what we can do is that we can use the alt attribute. We can put the equal signs, quotations, and then we put whatever we want to say. So picture of waffles. Okay, so that is, yep. It doesn't show does it show the broken image? Did you use the source attribute in the image tag? Okay, so how would we change that? What attributes will we use? Also, you can also type this stuff in chat, by the way. With attribute. Yeah, you got it. So you can actually try adding that. We're not discussing that right now. We're just trying to get our link in. But yeah, you could actually try doing that, but it's nice to see you got ahead. So yeah, height and width attribute. You can try using that, and you can test out pixels as well. So yeah, I've added the alt attributes to show what it should say if the image isn't loading. So say you're a user on the website, you say, oh, I want to learn how to make waffles. And you're like, what is this? This is just a broken image, right? You're not expected to know this. Okay, great. Sorry, I guess I'm getting distracted with chat. Okay, but your image worked, mine didn't, because I guess I got unlucky. But yeah, so now it shows the text picture of waffles if the image isn't loading. If the image did load in, this text would not appear. So what I'm actually going to try doing, maybe I'll get a different image. Hopefully that loads in. I'll search up something else. I'll search up baked beans. Baked beans. Okay, I guess we'll try copying this image. Copy image address. And now we're going to try changing it again. Hopefully this works for me. Whatever image you said, sure, if you said it worked, that's great. But yeah, if it doesn't work, of course, you can use the alt. It's a valid URL. I think I copied the wrong thing. Copy image address. Wrong thing. Okay, so we're actually close to wrapping up the class. I believe that is the wrong thing. I'll just check. Okay, I guess it was a valid image URL. Yeah, that is a long URL. I wasn't sure if I copy and paste the right thing. Okay, so that is a really long URL for some reason. But yeah, we got our image in. So this is a picture of baked beans with bacon on top, I guess. I just grabbed it from the internet. So yeah, hopefully we know how to add images and we can use the attributes. So yeah, we even learned some other attributes like the, let me just zoom in so we can actually see this. We're going to learn other attributes like height and width, which some of you might be trying to use right now. And yeah, so this is the output we got. We got a picture of baked beans because that's the URL I copied. And yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to type it in chat. Yeah, this URL was extremely long. But yeah, as long as it's in between the quotations, we are good. So if we're missing a quotation and we try running this, it will be broken again. So we need to make sure we have quotations as well. But yeah, that is a long URL, I guess we could say. And yeah, so we're actually going to move on now to sharing our work. So this part, we're actually exactly at time. So this part's actually going to take just 1 minute. So I'm going to remove all of this. That's a very long URL. We're going to remove all of this and we're going to type in something. So I'm just going to type in P, hello, this is a test from a dairy. Hello, this is a test from a dairy. And now we actually want to share our work. So I'm saying, okay, this was the extra activity just to type in something with the BTAC. I'm going to share my work. So what you want to do now is that you want to make sure, well, we created a solo learner account last class. So you want to make sure you're logged in. You're going to press share. Hopefully you can see it up there. You need to save your work, of course. So let it save. I don't believe I'm logged in, so this actually may be hard. Okay, let me log in quickly. So yeah, hopefully it'll work. So you want to save your work, you want to share it, then you want to make it public, and then you want to go back to share and copy the URL. But I'm going to try showing it if I can just get into my account. So I'll go into this account. Sure, I guess this account works. Present now. Let me make sure my screen's being shared. Okay, yeah, so we're just about to wrap up. Sorry, we're 1 minute over time right now, so let's go quick. Okay, zoom in a bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna write some dummy text. I guess I can actually just go like this and it'll still be savable. You won't see an output, of course, but I'm going to save this. I get to choose a title, so I'm just going to say Adair's test. Let's keep it like that. Adair's tester, public, and we're going to save it. So now once it's saved, pretty much that means that everybody will see the latest version of it or the version you saved it as. So you're going to now want to share. Make sure you also made it public. I believe it's already been saved. I didn't save it, I guess. I just put a name. And now hopefully save your code to enable sharing. Okay, maybe it hasn't saved. Oh, I have to actually press. Okay, hold on. I think I'm saved. Let me make sure. Oh, okay. I don't actually have my work open. Okay. Let me see what I can do. So I don't think I actually saved it because I had nothing in there. So this might take even more time. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna have to use a random tag. So let's get that to. Okay, looks like you guys already figured it out without me. Let me see. Just waiting for my internet to start. My internet's a little bit slow right now. We're through. Okay. Okay, sure. Save as. I have my code. Public. Make sure it's public. Save. Code saved. Okay, thank you. And now once it says code saved, okay, good. So it's good when you see your title down below here and you can see that it has been saved and it's marked as public. So now you want to go to share. And then this is actually the URL right here. Yep, one of you guys figured it out. So copy this URL and then paste it to wherever you're supposed to submit it. So it could be in a Google document or, yeah, so I'll just copy and paste this here. And yeah, so Sherry shared his. I'll look at on my other display. And great, yeah. So that's how you share your work. Your mic is muted if you're trying to speak. And yeah, we're just gonna move on to homework quickly. I guess I have a little bit of time after class to help if you're having technical difficulties. So let's just wrap up this class quickly. Okay, so this blog I created, you guys can check it out. Code behind the blog if you're curious. Something to note is that the image tag is not the only element that has attributes, but I'm pretty sure we know this because everything pretty much has attributes. Some elements have their own unique attributes that other elements do not share. So for example, a car might have an attribute of how big the wheel is, and humans don't have wheels, so we do not share that attribute. And yeah, so homework or extra activity, not homework. Okay, so create a blog that's all about you on Solo Learn's Code Playground. So you should just create a blog. A blog is just like a summary of something usually. So yeah, it should be all about you, similar to the one I created over here. It's just a bit about me, maybe things you want to do in the future, and an image of your favorite animal. Something that simple is good enough. Yeah, make sure to have similar structure in mind, and like meaning that uses the same elements. So you should use the image tag, the P tag, maybe the H1 tag if you like, and the UL and LI tags. Those are the most important ones. So yeah, submit the blog or submit the URL to the blog on Google Classroom. So we just learned how to share our work. Next, tell me everything that's wrong with this code and how Bob could fix it on Solo Learn's Code Playground. So I'll copy and paste this link for you guys as well. The CAP materials is already actually posted on the Google Classroom for day 2. So you guys can actually view that as well if you like, currently right now. So let me post this here for you like this. And that is Bob's blog. So Bob created a blog. Bob created a blog. He's one of my friends, and yeah, his blog isn't working as intended. So he asked me to ask you guys to help him try to fix it. So I put the URL to the blog there. It's also once again on Google Classroom with the CAM materials. So yeah, his work is broken. I don't know why. I guess I can open up on my screen as well. So yeah, he'd like you to fix it. And then once you fixed it, just tell me all the changes he needs to make in like a Google document. And yeah, just submit that. So yeah, here's his blog. He has images. He has 2 images. Nothing should be removed really. I think it's just things being added. So you're just gonna look through it. You see something wrong. So maybe maybe you see something wrong, like, oh, this doesn't make sense. This needs to be blah, blah, blah. He fixed that. Maybe something's missing. He fixed it. So if we run it now, the current output is only this when he has images and a list and another title. So yeah, please help him fix that. It would be much appreciated. And yeah, that's the end of the class, guys. I'm just speeding up because we went a bit over time. The next time we're going to do it best not to. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, I'll see you guys in the next class. Camp materials is on Google Classroom. Extra activities is about to be on Google Classroom. And yeah, that's the end of the class. So you can actually unmute your mics now if you have any questions. And no problem. No problem at all. No problem. Bye. Great job, everybody. Yeah, I'm here. Don't worry. I heard. Bye. How you make the picture smaller? Okay, so can you tell me what attributes would we use? Because that's an attribute, right? To change the size of the image or specifically change the width or the height. So we would use the width or height attributes. So I'll test that out quickly right here. So let me see. Hopefully I have an image actually open. Okay, I'll just copy and paste this because I know I can fix that one. Okay. So I have a fake. Are you able to get your image loaded in? Have you finished that step? Your mic's muted. You might as well mute your mic. Also, the class has come to an end. Yeah, nice seeing you all today. By the way, I'm just here for a little bit longer if you have any questions, and then yeah, I'll leave as well. So how you make the image smaller? Okay, so I have my image here. It's just an image of Doc. Right now, it's way too big. So I would use attributes. So we know the source attribute. So something I could add is the height attribute. Let me zoom in so I can actually make sure you can see this. So I'll add height equals, and then the size. So the size, I'm going to use pixels. So I'll just say 300px. And I'm going to do the same for width. Or actually, we can just see the output now. It's going to change the height. So now the height of the image is a lot shorter than it was, but the width is way too long still. So we want to change that as well. So we're going to go now width equals quotations, and then we have our number in between there. So I'll say 100 pixels. It's going to look a little bit weird because it's not properly done. I haven't changed the size properly, but if we look at the output, now we have that the width is only 100 pixels and the image is a lot tinier. So of course you could change these numbers to whatever you'd like. And yes, yeah, so I can make this 300 as well. Run. And yes, now it's 300 pixels. So you could just keep changing the size with the numbers. So you use the height and width attribute. And then in between the quotations, instead of it being a URL, since it's not the source attribute, we have a measurement unit. So actually, I'll test this out. I'll try centimeters if you're more familiar with that. I'm not sure. It's going to go 30 centimeters or ruler. Okay, so it's a lot smaller now, I guess, in centimeters. But yeah. So that wraps up the class, guys. Yeah, I might stay in the call. I'm just going to have my mic mute and my camera off. I'll look at chat briefly, but that is the end of the actual class. Bye. Yep, nice seeing you here again today. Bye.